Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Relationship Schools podcast. I'm your host, Jason Gaddis. Glad to be with you right now. When was the last time you looked in someone's eyes and said that, hey, I'm just really glad to be with you right now? Like, hang on a second. Let's just look at each other for a second. Man, I'm glad you're in my life. Yeah, how about that? Give that a shot today with someone you care about, okay? This podcast is about intimacy. It's about love. It's about connection. It's about marriage. It's about partnership. It's about family dynamics and getting through relationship hurdles to have the kind of relationships that are outstanding. It's such a huge part of our life, guys, to relate to other people. We're social mammals. It's essential. I think we have high quality, deep relationships in our lives. This podcast is aimed at helping you get that. I want to thank you guys for leaving reviews. We're approaching 700, and thanks. Here's one from Denise. The best relational guidance. I studied and trained at the relationship school. It has revolutionized my life, and I'm deeply grateful for the work in the community. This podcast delivers life-changing content for free. I'm continually surprised by the interviews and the research and the data made street level. Thank you, Jason, and community at TRS. Awesome. Thanks, Denise. Thanks for being a part of our community and doing what you do out in the world. If you'd like to leave us a review, it's a tiny way you guys can give back and just say thank you if you've gotten value here. If you've never left us a review, I'm challenging you to leave us one. Just like Denise there, that was, 2 sentences, 3 sentences. It takes under 5 minutes of your time. You can do it right on your phone if you just scroll up under Apple Podcasts. I would really appreciate it. Okay? Thanks, guys. All right. This podcast is about money. I've only done one other full-on podcast about money. And I heard this guy speak recently, Ken Honda, and I was pretty impressed and blown away at his approach to money and what he calls happy money. Some of you guys know I'm not a big fan of the term happy because it's such a polarized emotion. And I think I know what he means. Regardless, he's got some extremely cool, simple frames to cover your IQ around money. That's like financial literacy, as well as EQ, which is like your psychology and your emotional relationship to money. Because a lot of you probably are like me, you have some emotional charge from time to time around money. And it creates a lot of pain and tension. And I thought, gosh, this would be a valuable interview, I think, for you listeners to check in with your relationship to money. All right, Ken's written dozens and dozens of books. He's got some really cool, ideas, videos. He's a huge personal growth kind of guru, if you want to say that, in Japan. And it seems like he's sort of making his way over to the States with his message, and it's very cool. He's been in Forbes magazine. He's been on Good Morning America, ABC. And he's just a sweet guy. He's a dad, husband, talks about his marriage in here. So I think you're going to like this. Check it out, okay? And I would love to hear what you think. And if you want more interviews like this one that are a little off the beaten path, let us know. If you're like, dude, no, you got to just stay with like sex and love and connection. Okay, just give me that feedback. We like to hear from you. So info@relationshipschool.com if you got feedback for us. If you have a question for the podcast, occasionally I take your questions here or in our Facebook group. Okay, you can go to relationshipschool.com/community if you want to join that ever-growing group. Okay, thanks, and here we go. Welcome to the show, Ken Honda.
Hello, Jason. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm grateful for your time and your wisdom. So I'm excited to get into the conversation around money today and our relationship to money. So before we do, you just heard the introduction, but I'd love the listener just to get a quick intro from you. Like, who are you and what are you up to in the world?
My name is Ken Honda. I live in Tokyo, and also I'm a self-help author. I have written about 50 some books and sold about 8 million copies, and mostly on happiness and money and work. And I often talk about relationships too. I retired when I was 29 for my baby girl. My wife and I decided to have some time off. I thought it's just 2 weeks off, but that 2 weeks off extended to 2 months and 2 years. And we ended up spending 4 years focusing on raising our daughter, which is very unusual for a Japanese man to
Wow.
do that. So after me, a lot of people started retiring for their babies. So I'm very more proud of the fact that many people are inspired to have more time off from their work for their family rather than selling many millions of books.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, and we share something similar here. I
Mm-hmm.
was a stay-at-home dad, at least part-time, with my wife and I for 4 years until my kids were about 4 and 6, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it was amazing for me to be so involved as a dad.
Yeah,
So
so
that's
you know
cool
what
that
I'm talking about, right?
I do. Oh yeah, the sleepless nights and the walks and it was an amazing experience. And I was so inspired to show up for that part of in my children's
That's
lives. So it was
beautiful.
really
That's
special.
beautiful. And I really enjoy your picture, family picture, Jason.
Oh,
It's so
thanks.
beautiful. It just made me smile.
Right on. Thanks,
Thank
Ken.
you.
Yeah. So, and why are you in this conversation around money? Why did you become like a money teacher and a self-help author? How did you get into all this?
Um, my father was a very successful accountant, and he taught me everything about money since I was very little. Since I was 6 or 7, my father's teaching started. He took me to a shopping mall, and he asked me which store is making most money. So his teaching is very unique, and I was very curious about money because money seems to make some people happy and other people very unhappy. So I asked my father so many questions. And into my um, lessons and also in my college, I really started to learn about money. And I wanted to be financially independent because that seems to be the way to be free from what's going on in the world, which I could do at the age 29. And so since then, I've been asked so many questions about how can I have enough money to retire for our family or for things that they are interested in doing. So I've been giving advice on how to have money and happiness at the same time. And I started writing a booklet, 26-page booklet. I started giving away for free. And a lot of people wanted the copy. And I distributed about 100,000 copies for free.
Hmm.
Publisher called me. They're interested in publishing my book. And I said, no, no, no. I wrote everything in my little booklet. And he said, no, you have all the time in the world. Sit in front of a computer. Something may come out. And a lot came out. Since then, I've been publishing one book every few months. So I've been
Wow.
writing constantly. So my father was an alcoholic. So I'm a bookaholic, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I took on a healthier side of
Right.
addiction. So
Yeah.
it's been so inspiring to talk about happiness and money and family.
Yeah, that's so cool. And walk us back to your childhood. Did your dad sort of instill values in you to be responsible with money? Did you have an allowance? Did you have to work from a young age? Like, or were you kind of rebellious? Like some kids grow up with a dad who's knows a lot about money. They might move in the other direction, right? Like, oh, I don't
Mhm.
want to do that. So I'm curious about how was it for you?
And if he stayed as a strong guy, probably I would have been a rebellious one. But he became so weak after what I call family suicide of his client, his
Hmm.
best friend. His best friend committed suicide, and before doing so, uh, my father's friend killed all the entire family of 4, and then killed himself because of money.
Oh,
And after that, my father felt so guilty for not loaning some money to his best friend's family. He had the money, so he waited for his friend to file bankruptcy because all the money he gives goes to loan sharks. But he is a Japanese samurai kind of guy, but so he didn't tell him that
uh-huh.
beforehand. So he
Wow.
regretted all his life not telling the guy what he was going to do. So he became very depressed man and sad. And I think after that, and since then, our family lost a lot of smiles and laughter. Before that, I think we had a very happy family time. So that was sort of like a quest for me to know the secrets of money. What makes people happy, what makes people very unhappy to the point that they kill themselves.
Yeah. How old were you when this happened? And
I
you,
think I was about 8 or 9, so it was a very traumatic. I never saw, I had never seen a guy cry. Um, so I thought men were not capable of crying
right.
because up to that point, I never saw any male crying in my life, and I
Yeah.
thought, not my father. He laughs a lot, but he's not a kind of guy who cries like a
Hmm.
baby. So since then, I think my life changed, and it's all still the inspiration in me, especially in this time that people are losing a lot of money, people are scared. You need to heal your pain around anxiety and worry about money, because once you start worrying about money, it kills your spirit, it kills a love between you and your partner, and it kills all the smiles and laughter in your family. So you have to
Yeah.
be very careful how to deal with money.
Yeah. I want to get into how we do that here in a minute. And I just want to acknowledge that story. I grew up similarly where I didn't see men cry. And so I sort of learned to suck it up and be, quote, strong, right? And to
Hmm.
not feel. And so I love that. I mean, I don't love that this happened, obviously, but I love and appreciate how it impacted you. And then you started to, want to learn about money and to, help people. That's just cool how your path got kind of started.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then why is it that, I mean, you're right. There's so much pain around money. There's so much fear and anxiety. Tell us about, like, kind of, why is that? Like, why have we placed so much value into money, and why do we let it kind of run our lives like this?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for asking. There are a few reasons. First of all, we associate money with our survival. A few hundred years ago, when everybody was a farmer and we didn't spend any money, right? So we just raised food, and so our food is right there. So we didn't feel scarce about anything. We didn't have the need to make money, because for survival, all you had to do is go out to a river and drink water, and then all you have to do is sleep under the tree, and you could get by. But now you need money for your survival. You need to put food on the table. You need a roof above your head. And whatever you do in this modern society, you need money. So you subconsciously think that money is essential for survival.
Hmm.
And if people associate security with money, they start to think that spending money or losing money is a terrible mistake. So if you see your partner doing that, or yourself doing that, you need to punish them for making mistakes.
Right.
So I've been scolded by so many times by my mother. Why did you waste your money?
Uh-huh.
Because wasting money could lead to family death. It's like what's
Yeah.
going on in your head. And I'm
Yeah.
sure everybody can associate with that. We've been scolded so many times for just a tiny, tiny mistake, just maybe like a few cents or a few dollars. But
Yeah.
you remember your parents like go insane, and like the
Yeah.
most loud person could go so mad or upset over money.
Yeah. And we have a lot of stories like money doesn't grow on trees.
Hmm.
We can't afford that. That's too expensive. Just if you hear that enough times as a kid, right, it starts to create kind of a narrative about it.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
one time during my semi-retirement, I did a lot of volunteer work in my daughter's kindergarten. And I asked just before the Christmas, we celebrate Christmas too, not as Christian, but just more commercial.
Yeah.
So I asked this 6-year-old boy, maybe 5, and I asked him, "What is Santa bringing you this year?" And he said, "Santa is not coming to my house." And I asked him why. I thought he's not Christian or something. He said, "My family is poor, so Santa is not going to visit us." And I was surprised, and I asked the boy, "Who told you that?" And he said, "My mother told me that, Santa doesn't come to a poor people's family." And that's like, it broke my heart. Like,
Yeah.
what a statement, And I know his mother probably couldn't afford to buy a gift or something. So she may have said funny excuse like that. But that stays in that boy
Yeah.
for a long time. So we have to be careful with what we say to our kids, especially when it comes to a negative belief about money.
How do we? You're right. I'm so with you. Um, if we want to quote make money or be wealthy or have a better relationship with money, are you sort of saying, and I kind of read enough about you and listened to some of your podcasts with other
Mhm.
people to sort of know the answer, but I'd love to hear it right now, which is, do we have to deal then with our kind of money psychology or our money story if we want to be wealthy or be rich or have more money?
You know, I'm not focusing on how to become wealthy. You may become wealthy if you want to, but it's not the shortcut. It doesn't really matter how much you make or how much you have. It's more of your relationship with money. So if you have a healthy relationship with money, you don't need to make a lot of money because you don't need to accumulate so much wealth because you have only one life and you cannot live forever. So I just suggest my fans and readers to focus on what makes you happy rather than how to accumulate wealth. It's
Hmm.
interesting, it's a cultural difference too. In North America and Europe, I'm often asked, how can I make more money
Yeah.
and become happy? And
Right.
whereas in Asia, I'm often asked a similar question, but at a different angle. They ask me, how can I be satisfied with what I have?
Mm.
So they're interested in more of how to satisfy yourself rather than make more money.
Yeah.
So it could be a different approach. My approach is more Zen. So instead of just increasing your net value, you have to really be in touch with who you are. And if you know who you are, you don't need a lot of money. You don't need to spend so much time and energy on work. I think the biggest problem of this humanity is that right now is that we spend too much money on work. It's kind of contradiction for me to say because I'm writing all the time. So, but for me, it's almost like a hobby or play.
Yeah.
But
You love.
we are so taking away a lot of energy for work.
Yeah, that's really true. We get kind of absorbed, and then our work becomes the means to an end. We have to have the job or keep the job because it helps us afford our lifestyle, right? So we're kind of
Mhm.
caught in a trap there, and we maybe a lot of people aren't very fulfilled in their work, but it's what provides their income. So what if I'm in that situation as a listener here, and I'm kind of stuck there? What can I do?
Yeah. So um, I've written about 56 or 7 books, but most of them are focused on how to discover your gifts and how to monetize them.
Right.
Because finding who you are is the most important job that you can have in your life. So, finding who you are, meaning you have to find what you're good at, what your gifts are. And if you can share your gifts with other people, for me, writing and speaking and inspiring people. So, if you can share your gifts enough, you can make a living. So I've taught so many entrepreneurs start their own business. Some of them went to a public company. Some of them have a papa mama shop, but still make decent income, good enough to support their happy life.
Hmm.
So you have to know about money to be happy as a family too. So, but to do that, you have to have the balance too. So that's what you have to be careful about. But first step is find who you are, find your gifts, and combine them, because one gift doesn't take you far. But if you combine small gifts, for me, speaking, writing, and counseling, and accounting, and all that, if you combine all the small gifts you have, you become one and only. So if you're a coach, you have to become not just a coach, but relationship coach, right? You have to become you have to specialize in something. And then if you're a musician, put a music into it. If you're an artist, you have to put an artist as a flavor. And then you become one and only. And people find you like, I've been looking for exactly like you, somebody like you. So you find the best match. I think that's also another relationship you need to build. So I've been teaching those things, but to do that, you have to have certain steps. You cannot just jump from one place to another. So it's a fun process too, because finding who you are is always a surprise, because a lot of people are super surprised when they find gifts, because they had been there all their life, but they had never noticed it.
Right. That's so true. Yeah. I mean, a lot of our gifts too, one of the things I teach here at the relationship school is a lot of our gifts come from our pain and some of the hard things we've been through in life. And we learn to make meaning out of that, and we learn the lessons, and then we can help other people through something similar, right?
Yes. I liked your analogy. You said it's a thorn, right? Or the pain was it's a thorn of a rose that, it hurts, but that's what gives you depth, I guess.
I think so. I mean, it's sort of like your experience when you were 9 or 10 and your dad lost his friend. It really impacted you, but you could have also gotten lost, but instead it catapulted you onto a journey to find yourself and, learn about money. And okay, so what I'm sort of hearing the skeptic listening in the listener saying, well, you can't just, okay, so if I find my purpose in life, I'm supposed to be happy and then the money comes. But isn't it also true that, like you said, you also have to learn a little bit about money and how to manage it?
Of course.
Is it possible to just kind of fall asleep around money and still have a lot of money? Or do we actually have to put quite a bit of attention here?
Theoretically, you could do that. Like John Lennon, I don't think he learned about, money. But so if you're super good at what you do, you don't have to worry about money. But if you're just a regular person like the rest of us, you need to learn about money. I actually wrote a national bestseller in Japan, Do What You Love and Make Sure Money Follows You. Because, oftentimes people think like, oh, I'm doing what I love. Where's my money? Because you have to make sure money follows you. That means you have to set up some kind of system around what you love. Financial system. I call it money container. So unless you put a money container, you're just playing guitar, just doing some kind of hobby as a happy person with no money. So you have to have a system so people can support you. Like I have a subscription service. People pay me about $10 a month. And for my book, I publish every month. And then, I have about 20,000 membership. So that means 20,000 people just keep supporting me every month. So with that kind of budget, I'm so abundant. So I get to share a lot of things, a lot of money, energy, and all the thing that people to support, I give back, and then my community grows. So if you have supporters, at least like 100 people or 200 people, you can make a living. So you have to have some kind of financial system set up for you. So people are happily supporting you financially. That way you can keep going. So you need to have a system to support you.
Yeah, great. I have one of my mentors said that the universe sort of money follows, money goes to where there's order and organization. And it goes out of the hands of people who are disordered and disorganized around money into the hands of people who are organized and have order around money. Would you say that's true in your experience?
I teach two subjects, money IQ and money EQ. Money IQ is financial intelligence. A lot of North American authors teach. And I teach money EQ, which is money emotional intelligence. You need to have both. What you're talking about is money financial intelligence, money IQ, in terms of just marketing system and all that. But what's more important is money EQ, which is emotional intelligence. Have you often wondered, superstar of NBA and all those people like Mike Tyson, they make hundreds of millions of dollars, but they go bankrupt. How?
Yeah.
Because they may make so much money, but they don't have financial emotional intelligence. So that's why they make stupid mistakes. If people with a super mind who can get a Nobel Prize and who runs a hedge fund, how could they go wrong, right? So because they make stupid mistakes emotionally. And I know some of your friends who make stupid mistakes because you got too aggressive or you got too greedy. It's because your emotional intelligence is low. So you have to have a high emotional intelligence and high money intelligence too to be happy and abundant.
Yeah. And what is one thing we can do to develop our emotional intelligence around money?
I often talk about it in my books, but the only thing you need to remember is arigato your money. That's a lesson I learned from my mentor Wahei Takeda, who's called Warren Buffett of Japan. He was my mentor, and who was one of the wealthiest people in Japan. When I had a chance to talk with him, he said, "There's only one thing you need to know: arigato your money. Appreciate your money. Appreciate your money coming in and going out. When money comes into your life, say arigato or thank you to money coming in. And when you spend money, pay bills, also say arigato or thank the money. By doing that, you just raise your consciousness to appreciation. And then you go into your flow of appreciation cycle. So by receiving money happily and letting go of money happily creates a cycle of appreciation. And once you are in this cycle of appreciation, somehow you tend to attract all the great opportunities. Like my student who is a single mom who didn't get paid because she didn't have a college degree, but she started this principle by appreciating money coming in and started appreciating all the other things like her boss. But she used to complain about him. But because she appreciated her boss for a while, a few weeks later, she got a super surprise big check and raise for being a nice, secretary. And she was super surprised because he doesn't do something like that. But I think the appreciation came back.
Yeah.
And I have hundreds of thousands of emails thanking me for miracles, because once they started appreciating their clients, their family members, they got the appreciation back they never thought they would get. And it's the same thing with relationships, right?
Yeah.
So they got more referrals and more businesses through appreciation. So, it's not just happy ideas about money. It works. If you appreciate your money more, money appreciates in your life. So it doesn't cost anything. So I want everyone of the listener here to practice this. Arigato your money. You're not going to miss anything.
Arigato your money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what I kind of got there was, and when I practice this type of attitude in my life, it's so much better, which is appreciating what I have, right? Instead of resenting what I don't have. There's a real big difference there for me.
Yes. And
so thanks for that reminder.
Yes, you're going to spend less because you're so content. Happy people don't go shopping as much as financially challenged people because they know they can buy anytime. They don't have to go for the sale. So happy people don't need to go out shopping to make them happy. So I had an email from a mother saying her boy, her son, asked her when she was buying another bag, because she was working so hard. So her son said, "Hi, mom. You have enough bags. Is this the happy money you're spending?" And said, "Okay, I think I have enough bags." So kids get it more than adults. We tend to buy things to make us feel happy or validated, and it's what's the word? Retail therapy, right? In English.
Yeah,
Yeah,
retail therapy.
I thought I like the word a lot. So it's not a happy attitude around money.
Yeah. Just describe happy. You talk about happy money and happy people. What do you mean by that?
No, I wrote a book, Happy Money, and in simple word, happy money makes you feel good and joyful, and whereas unhappy money gives you irritation, frustration, worry, and anger. And it's the same money. Even though you make the same amount of money, happy money people receive money with a smile, and they pay bills and they pay people with a smile. Whereas 95% of us are so frustrated when we receive a check, we complain about it. Is it
Not enough.
all I get, right? And then when we have to pay bills and taxes, like, oh, I don't want to do that. But if I don't, I get more taxes. So I pay it anyway. My mentor said, pay all the bills with a smile. Pay them fast, because you're just making some people more abundant. So just isn't that a privilege to be able to pay somebody some amount? So the attitude is very different, and but the numbers of the money are the same. So if you have to pay taxes anyway, you have to pay bills anyway, do so with a smile. Try that. It's going to change your life, because a lot of people have very unhappy, very grumpy face when they write checks for government.
Yeah. Oh yeah, taxes. How many people complain about taxes, right?
Yeah.
Hi, podcast listeners. What's up? Quick interruption from yours truly. We have our big signature conflict workshop coming up. Happens just a couple times a year. It's the last workshop of the year if you want to learn how to get better at conflict. All right. This is a life skill everybody should learn. All right. So go to relationshipschool.com/connected. The early bird price is going up soon. And check out what Tom had to say.
As I came to the workshop, I was in my relationship in what I would consider kind of a tenuous way. I felt a lot like I was walking on eggshells, that things might get quite emotional or explode. And so it was a very uneasy state. I was confronted a couple of times by Jason that really allowed me to think about what I thought I was doing in a certain way. And he sets up an environment where I could hear the feedback, perhaps the criticism. And at one point he said, "Stop the story." And I thought, but I wasn't telling a story. But he was right, I was telling a story. So that was a classic case where I realized I wasn't actually seeing myself accurately. And so the weekend has been one of trying to accept that maybe what I think I'm putting out there isn't actually as precise as I think it is. And so it's allowing me to be more reflective on how I am in relationship. I would recommend this workshop to others, especially if you come in with a willingness to wonder what is not working in my relationships and how am I a part of creating this relationship that isn't working. And even though you may feel like it's the other person a little more than you, just stay open to maybe trying to catch a piece of how you're contributing to the unfunctioning part of the relationship.
Yeah, so cool. Tom and his partner went deep in this weekend, and it was really powerful for them. And yeah, consider, like he said, that you have a part, folks. Come learn with us, okay? relationshipschool.com/connected. If you want to get the deal and get in on this now, you can bring a friend for only $100. So this is a screaming deal. Come check it out. Let's do this. Back to the podcast. When talk about like being generous with your money, and then I want to ask you some questions about couples and money. But like, how do we, like, sometimes we get money and then we hoard our money, and we're not generous with our money because we think, I will be generous when I have more money.
Yes.
So help us out there.
Yes, I heard the same expression from people who make $5 million a year.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I thought you're a wealthy person. And he said, no, I'm not wealthy because I don't have a private jet. So, if you have a mindset like that, you're not going to be, you're not going to find peace with money in your lifetime. So you have to start from somewhere. So I ask my clients, if you worry about money, give money. It could be $1. It could be a quarter at the register. There's usually a box of jars full of coins. So just put 10 cents or a quarter or $1. And when you worry about money, you feel like you'll be out of money, so you're scared. But by giving away 10 cents or $1 from your life doesn't go bankrupt you, but gives you a sense of, oh, maybe I have more than enough. And then you can kind of breathe. So if you just know you have been always abundant in your life, you don't have to be scared about. So the tragedy is, like, we are forced to live in what I call scarcity, scare city. It's a scary city, right?
Yes.
We feel like it's not enough. But once we realize that there's enough for me, for my family, oh, why did I think that there's not much going around? Because you're not really seeing, you saw things through the filter of fear. If you see things with fear, everything is scary. Everybody's trying to hurt you. Everybody's trying to steal money from you. So you feel very protective and defensive. But if you just let go of your defense, nothing can harm you. That's what my mentor used to say. He didn't have a bodyguard. He didn't have an alarm system in his house. And his house, and also his front door of the office is always open. I was super surprised. I thought there would be like 3 security guards and very heavy arm and alarm system. No, there's just one secretary just sitting by his desk, and anybody can go. And then he said, I asked him, are you not worried about your money, because everybody knows he has so much money and so much gold because he was famous for giving away his gold coins, right? And he said, if you have no fear, there will be no attack. And it took me years to really figure out what it meant. But what he meant is, if you're totally defenseless, nobody can attack him.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful. I kind of, as you're talking today, I'm kind of getting this impression that, because I go into my own scarcity from time to time, and I get really contracted and tense. I almost hear you saying kind of, we just need to learn how to relax our body, relax our mind. And what's one way to do that? Do you do meditation, or what do you recommend?
So just you can do so many things. I'm not against any spiritual rituals. If whatever you like is great. So the key is when you just find out that you're just scared or worried, you breathe very shallow. So the very easy tip I can give you is, when you just feel scared or worried, just breathe deep and breathe out. That gives you, a mode shift. So just you have to breathe deeper no matter what anyway. So if you just realize that you are in shock or fear, that you don't breathe,
Yeah.
just kind of stop. So start breathing. You're not dying, So
Yeah.
just realize that you have your body, and then start counting your happiness. And just if you relax, you realize that there aren't so many things that you need to be upset or you need to worry about, because we are living in this scarcity with under false ideas that it's going to be dangerous, and we
Right.
need money to secure that. Money does not secure your future. Relationships are the key. So I talk about uh, this to a lot of people. I ask each one of you to write down a best friend's name, people who can let you stay for a week or a month. And if you have more than 10 friends, you're a lucky person. And I wrote down all the my friends' name, and there are about 70 or more. And I realized if I ask them to let me stay with them for a week, I can go to my friend number 2 and number 3 and number 4, and they're only 52 weeks a year. And after 50 friends, you can come back to your friend number 1 and say, "Long time no see. Can I
I'm
stay
staying
with you
here
for a
again.
week?" And then you don't need any money, right? So even if you have millions of dollars in your bank, what if somebody sued you? What if government gets it? What if there will be a bank run? Or what if? The real security lies in the relationships and friendships, and the people who make sure that you're not gonna fall.
Mhm.
They'll catch you. That is the biggest security. So I think creating beautiful relationships that, like you're teaching, is really really the key to happiness and also financial security.
Yeah, that's great. I just want to reiterate there. So for the listener, take a big breath right now if you're feeling scared. Just one
Yeah.
big breath. Yep. And then like Ken's saying, like write down all of your friends, and could you stay with them for a week? And like, even if you have 5 friends, that's still 5 weeks you could stay somewhere. That's something, and that feels good. And I just agree with you that, and I mean, and the research shows this, that the quality of your life is dictated by the quality of the relationships you have.
Mm-hmm.
That's really true. So anyway, just thank you for that reminder. Ken, what do people do if couples are fighting about money? What are some tips that, if we're not on the same page about spending, or if we just keep arguing about money and we're just having a hard time there, what can we do?
You have to understand that you have limited, unless you achieve financial independence, you have limited resources for both of you, right? So you cannot spend it all and just carelessly spend it all. So you have to agree that you have to have some kind of rules for the spending and also making money. And what's interesting is that men and women, I don't need to generalize men and women, but each individual has a very unique way of spending. And in general, like guys tend to just spend on drinks and socializing, and women too, and
And gadgets,
yes,
sports.
gadgets. And my clients, at least in Japan, uh, there's a couple guys complaining about his wife's cosmetics, and it's this little cream that's supposed to do wonders on your face.
Yeah.
Costs something like $200, right? And it's ridiculous. Like, why does it cost like $50 or $200? And he's claiming that it doesn't seem to do any good on her face. So she's wasting her money from
Uh,
his perspective, and she thinks her husband is going out for drinks for networking, but from her eyes, her husband is just complaining about the work situation with colleagues. It's not networking. It's
uh,
just wasting money. So it's a totally different perspective. And I'm sure for each of them is very important. That's why they're spending their precious money. So you have to really respect the other side. The gay relationship and lesbian relationship is the same. You have to really show respect to the other people. And the same goes with the kids too. It's a tragedy if if both of you, as a parent, are savers, and then oftentimes your son or daughter is a spender. It's almost like a demon is born to this priest's house. So it's interesting. It's a money personality type I wrote in my books too. Some people are spender, some people are saver, some people giver, some people are maker, money maker. We all different, but we think the other one is super wrong. If you're a spender, a saving is wrong. And if you're a saver, a money spender is almost like a sin. It's a crime to spend money. So you really have to show respect to other people. And I think relationships is a perfect playground to learn about the rules of life.
Yeah, totally. And to learn how to communicate and to learn how to accept differences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes. And I think sex and money are the two important keys. And money is more like a taboo, I think, in North America, whereas sex is more taboo in Japan.
Uh-huh. And what's the relationship between sex and money, though? Like in terms of they're very charged topics.
Yes, they're both very important, and I have written so many essays on this topic. But in very short time, money and sex will just draw the best and the worst of you.
Yeah.
So you can be the happiest guy and you can be the most gentle person. Money can draw the best and the worst, and sex also can withdraw the best and the worst. That's why there's so many crimes over sex and money. So you have to be very careful with those two. And most of the time, if we suppress all these money and sexual energy, it'll just burst out in a most surprising way. And you'll be the first one to be surprised about how violent and how big this energy is.
Totally. Absolutely. As we wind down, Ken, how do you raise kids around money? Like, did you ask your daughter to work from a young age and pay her? Did you make her get a job? What should parents do if they want to instill good money values in their children?
Yes, thank you, Jason. This is a very interesting topic. I wrote a few books on how to raise your money, how to raise a happy money, how to raise a happy child around money. Mm. So money is almost like a religion. Some people try to teach their kids work ethics, whereas other people try to keep away from kids. So they don't talk about sex or they don't talk about money at all. So there's no ideal situation because your teaching would be very different. My father wanted to teach me how to be financial independent, whereas a lot of parents want their kids to be taught how to keep a good job. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like an employee mentality, So parents tend to teach their kids to be employable people, so they will be okay for the rest of their life.
Right.
So, or do you want your kids to be more artists and creative? It's a totally different thing. If you want your kids to have a financially stable life, teach them to be employable. And if you want your kids to be happy, just teach them to be happy. It's a totally different set of rules. So for me, I wanted my daughter to be on her own, not necessarily self-employed, but she can express herself in a way that she doesn't need to fear about how to be seen and all the other things. Mm-hmm. So it's a totally different thing. So I didn't pay her for doing what she did because it's a family, right? So
Yeah.
family chores for me is not something that to be paid. So, but work ethics is important. So some people try to teach them by paying their kids, which is okay. So it's totally different. So you really have to talk about it as a parent, and then try to be consistent with the message. Otherwise, your kid is very confused. Will be confused.
Yeah, totally. You hear a lot of kind of financial people in the States talk about how you need to start a bank account for your kids and a savings account because then they could be really rich one day, or save a lot of money and have a nest egg or something. Is it important to teach kids actual financial literacy, that kind of IQ, financial IQ? And what age do we start that?
I think you should teach your kids basic ones at least. When they um, start showing interest, a lot of kids start showing the interest about 6 or 7 because generally you get curious when your parents just show some kind of plastic thing or just
Yeah.
papers, and then you get ice cream and stuff, right? So they start showing interest. Okay, if I have money, I can get ice cream, right? So stuff like that. So as I witnessed how my daughter kind of was opening up to a world financially, I started teaching her, but not before. After she started asking questions, I taught her, but I didn't try to teach her, to become a superhero in financially, because thinking about money is not a healthy attitude. Ideally, if all the people treat money as like air, that'd be great. But people are obsessed with money, which is kind of sad because there's a lot more important thing than money and work. But somehow, maybe 100 years from now, anthropologists at the time would wonder why people in the early 21st century are so obsessed with money and work. We don't get that, right? Like,
And what age should a parent stop giving their child money?
that's also interesting topic because I'm often asked by a newspaper and magazine. There's a 50-80 problem in Japan. 80-year-old parent still sending money to 50-year-old child is a problem, right? So a 50-year-old child has to take care of her or his mother physically, but 80-year-old mom and dad still has to send money. So that was a big deal. So some people are like that, and some people stop supporting their child when they're just 20, 21. So it's up to the family, and it's how you think the world should be. So, but you have to be consistent. And also, if your child needs support because they got sick or they got laid off or whatever the reason, I think that's when you probably need to support them, right? So even though they're 35 or 45. So there's this dependency issue too. So you don't need to, you don't want to keep your kids financially dependent on you until they're 40. But if you just throw them too fast, they are not ready for that. So you have to really think about how to do that.
You have to work your way into that. Yeah.
Right. I've interviewed so many wealthy people and not wealthy people, and interviewed them how they react with their kids. And if you just mess up with their kids financially, you're gonna lose them. So you have to be very careful with what you do with kids, especially around finances, because if you just don't do anything with finances, your kids may cut off your relationship totally, and they can do that legally, right? They don't call, they don't just write emails. And after my seminar, and after my books, I'm so surprised that people have lost their contact with their parents because they're just saying, "Hey, Ken, thank you so much. You talk about the importance of good relationship with a parent. I contacted my father after 13 years of absence." Like, what?
Yeah.
After 13 years? And also, I'm hearing amazing stories. Like after reading your book, I try to contact my brother. I haven't contacted for 7 years. And I found him on Facebook, and I was surprised that he's married and he has 2 kids. And
Wow.
then they never contacted each other. And then they're just, now there's just reconnecting again. But it's surprising, like we so focus less on the connection with family, and we're obsessed with money and work.
Yeah.
The main reason why we don't spend so much time with our family is that we're busy working for money, and
Right.
it's so sad.
That's challenging to watch because it's like so many parents right now feel like they have to, like kids in the United States, a lot of them are going to be home for school this fall to begin with, and the parent has to work and the kids at home, and it's like, but wait, shouldn't the parent be at home? But no, they have to work.
That's right.
It's this really challenging situation.
Mm-hmm.
Man, one of the big takeaways I'm getting here as we close here is like the focus on the EQ,
Mm-hmm.
focus on around money, and focus on being happy, focus on relationships, and appreciating the money and what you have versus trying to chase money, right, from a fearful place. That's kind of one of the big takeaways and the themes here. And I also am guessing you would say model the way to your kids, like be how you do money is probably going to be how they do money, right? Like if
Yes.
you can just live that way, that can inspire them to be responsible with money and not freak out about it so much.
Yeah. So, and also one of the things about parenting is that even though you try hardest to try to reform your child to be a certain way, it's not going to be successful. So forget about that. And because you have to be like that if you want them to be like you. So there's no way that works. And you're the example, right?
Right,
We are all the
exactly.
example. So just give up an idea that you want your child to be a certain way, because it doesn't work.
Right.
Just
Last question.
focus on your happiness.
Yeah, cool. Last question. I always ask my guests this, and I want to ask you: if I had a room full of at the relationship school, one of our missions is to reach 1 million teens and young adults with relationship education.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had a room full of 1,000 teenagers, and I could, you were whispering in my ear, and I could only share with this group of teens one thing, what would you want me to share with them?
I'd say make stupid mistakes and go wild, because you're going to regret more about not doing things than just doing things. So just do things that you're afraid most, and they end up probably a big failure. But I think if you're young, you can afford to do it. So if you think it's a wild idea, go for it.
Cool.
And probably you're going to feel devastated, but it's going to help you to do more great stuff later on. So just make stupid mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, so many people are so unwilling to make mistakes that they never try, right? So I really appreciate that reminder. Totally.
Yes.
Ken Honda, where can people find your book or you?
I think they're still carrying my book at major bookstores, or you can order at Amazon. And you can find all the information at kenhonda.com, Ken, and Honda is in a car.com. And I'm just translating a lot of stuff, free material from Japanese to English, especially how to find gifts and all that. So I hope you just enjoy exploring who you are more and just find happiness. And you have to define happiness by yourself, not by other people. So just have fun.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks for the reminder. I feel myself more relaxed right now
That's great.
after having our conversation. And also I feel really committed to today appreciating my money and appreciating what I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed. This is such a beautiful way to start my day, and so I just want to thank you, Jason. And you're just doing a beautiful work. Relationships are super, super important subject, but people tend to underappreciate it. So I send you all my love and respect and cheers that you're gonna find your mission, and I will. I'm happy to continuously give you all my support.
Thank you so much. Wow. I really, really appreciate that, Ken. Okay, folks, action step, go to kenhonda.com. If you want to find out more about Ken, get his book, Happy Money. Yeah, check it out. He's on Instagram, Facebook. I'm following him on Instagram right now. I think it's at Ken Honda. So check him out. I hope you enjoyed that. And then action step here is 2 things. Number 1, journal about what you learned about your relationship to money in this podcast. It could be half a page. It could be 3 sentences. 1 key insight about yourself. Right. I have emotional IQ. I'm very financially literate, let's say, but man, I have all this charge about it, or maybe it's vice versa. Or noticing your compulsion and how much you obsess about money or your lack of it. Just whatever's true for you based on what you heard today. And then the second step is just to share that with someone in your life that you care about. Why do we do that? We always, now I don't know, halfway through, I added that sort of double action step there, was to make it relational. And it holds a different level of accountability, right? When we're seen in something we just learned or a vulnerable share about ourselves. There's tons of people in our community, if you're like, yeah, but I live in so-and-so and I don't know anyone that talks like this. Guys, don't make excuses. Join our community on Facebook and find someone in there to, hey, who wants to do a practice call with me and I just want to debrief the podcast. Do that, okay? No excuses here. Or just don't do the action step. Then you don't have to shame yourself later if you don't do it. All right? Okay. Hopefully you have heard about our Accepted and Connected event. All right? It's in November, mid-November. You don't have to fly to Boulder. You can just do it right from home, wherever you are in the world. Some of you international people have asked us if we're going to, do it at a different time of day because you guys are asleep maybe. And we probably will offer something, but you need to register and sign up. And if you can't make it, for you, we might offer some recordings of the event. I don't know yet. Please come. It's awesome. You can bring a friend for $100, folks. Go to relationshipschool.com/connected, and you will have a shift in how you do conflict. We need people in the world that know how to do conflict. And please be one of those people that it's at least learning, all right? You don't have to be perfect. It's not about that. I'm not perfect. I fall down on the regular, even in my marriage, but I get back up, and I've got lots of amazing tools to use, okay? You want options, right? You don't want to just default to your childhood pattern. Okay, relationshipschool.com/connected, and we'll see you next time. Hey, thanks so much for listening. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Share one of these videos with a friend. We want to help the planet get their act together around relationships, and you are one of them, so thank you.